how do you get free upgrades for things? This is some general advice that can apply to a lot of different situations, and they're not guaranteed to work, but you definitely should do at least this if you want the chance of getting an offer of an upgrade. One of the first things you can do to try and get a free upgrade is join the loyalty program of whatever it is that you're doing. Whether you're flying with WestJet or taking an Amtrak train or on a Carnival cruise ship or whatever it is, join whatever loyalty program is available that doesn't cost you anything. And, enter that loyalty number when you make bookings in the future. That is one of the ways that they kind of get to know you, and they get a sense that you're the kind of person they might want to really make happy and invest. You could be kind of an unofficial brand ambassador if you really like it. I've convinced more than 10 people to go on cruises that wouldn't have otherwise because they made a great impression on me. They also track your repeat business. That is a good thing. That helps and increases the likelihood that you might get something offered. Another thing that you can do is whenever possible, as long as it is the same or better cost, book directly with the company that you're dealing business with. I go on Expedia and I kind of showroom, which is kind of ironic because, they say that in the retail space, retail is getting pummeled by online because someone will go to a Best Buy and look at the TV and then they'll go buy the TV on Amazon or something. And that's called showrooming. That's when you use the store as a showroom to view the product that you're just going to buy online. And that's a whole different conversation about the economics of that. Ironically, I use the Expedia website or maybe the Flight Centre website to do showrooming for flights. And not every airline is on those services. For example, Southwest is not on Expedia. So it don't necessarily give you the full picture, but it gives me a great place to start. And I can kind of see what some of the prices are and see if they're competitive. So I'll look at a bunch of different airlines, then I'll check one or two extras that I know aren't there. Then I'm only checking very few sites. But when it comes time to book, if I can get the same price or a better price booking at like westjet.ca or delta.com or whatever instead of Expedia, book direct every time if you want a free upgrade. Now, Expedia has recently started their own kind of membership loyalty thing. I think it's like a year and a half it's been around, where you can level up and you get like a tiny little bit of cash back, but that's super minor. I'm not convinced it's worth it. Whereas if you book directly with an airline, they're more likely to upgrade your seats. For example, I was flying with, I think it was Delta, and I had a flight ticket that was the cheapest of the economy fares. And it was a kind where you don't get to pick your seat in advance. And so even when I checked in at the airport, I still didn't have my seat assignment. It's assigned at the gate. And that made me a little bit nervous, but I was saving some money, so I was willing to do it, and I can make anything work, really, on a plane. I don't like the middle seat, but hey, whatever, we'll see what I get. And I ended up getting a free upgrade to their Sky Premium. I forget what it was called. I did a video about that. It was partly because I booked directly with them. They didn't offer it to the people who booked through Expedia. And one of the reasons that both hotels, resorts, cruise lines, airlines, they're going to favor you if you book directly because Expedia takes some of that money when you make the booking through them. And so that's less money that goes directly to the end company, whether it's Hilton, Carnival, Delta, whoever. And so their profit margin is improved. You're paid the same price either way, but because they want to get listed on the aggregate, Hotwire, Hotels.com, Expedia, Flight Centre, whatever, those places often take a little bit of a cut, and that cuts into their profit margin. So they're going to like you a little less. I've actually been in situations where I've been talking to someone at the gate for a flight or at the front desk of a hotel, and they've said something like, because you booked with Expedia, I can't do X, whatever X was. There are often more limitations when you book through the aggregator. So that is something to keep in mind. Book direct, you're more likely to get that kind of an upgrade offer at a hotel, flight, whatever. Another thing I think that helps, and I'm not sure necessarily if it helps with upgrades necessarily, but it's just a good idea, is having a trusted traveler program like Nexus. If you're Canadian or American and you're traveling to the other country frequently, the Nexus program is fantastic. It's $50. It lasts 5 years. You get a card that basically stands in as your passport, and it's a much faster process when you're passing through customs. If you're going through a land crossing, the Nexus lane is almost always faster. At airports, it's almost always faster. Nexus includes TSA PreCheck. And so my theory about this is, because you're the trusted traveler and they basically have this extra security level around you, they know you better, they might be more likely to offer you things. For one thing, you get checked in faster, you get to the gate faster. If they make some sort of an offer, you're there sooner to take advantage of it than the guy who's still going through the regular security lineup because he doesn't have TSA PreCheck. But also, if they want to put somebody on an exit row and maybe they're figuring it out in advance before boarding the plane, maybe the guy they know something more about and they have more faith in and trust in as a trusted traveler might be more likely to get that upgrade to the position that includes some responsibility, for example. So I recommend that. I also recommend checking in early for whatever it is, whether it's a cruise or your train ride or your plane ride, whatever it is. Checking in early is great for a couple of reasons. With your cruise, paying it off early, checking in early, you might be more likely to get an upgrade offer because you're not still owing the money, and again, they know more about you and they're connected to you. They got your email and your phone number, and they can reach out to you in different ways to offer that upgrade. It might be linked to your loyalty account, which often drives upgrades as well, as I already talked about. So checking in early gives them that opportunity. If you're an agent at a gate working for an airline, and maybe you have an extra spot in first class and there's standby people, maybe you're going to want to take somebody from economy and bump them up to first class and then give the standby person the economy seat. Well, as soon as you might know that, you're going to want to look at who's there, and you're going to want to get on the little loudspeaker and say, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Jones, please come up to the gate. And that's how you come up, and that's when they'll often say, hey, would you be interested in an exit row? Would you be interested in a free upgrade to first class? Whatever it is. So checking in early and being there early allows you to be there for those opportunities. As well, if you check into your flight exactly 24 hours before the flight, which is normally when you can check in online, sometimes an upgrade offer will pop up. When I've been flying with WestJet or Alaska or American, I believe, I've had different opportunities pop up. Upgrade to first class for $35, $50, $75, $99. Whatever the price range for you is that makes sense, generally that's like when that offer that comes with a nominal fee will come up. And sometimes I've gotten amazing opportunities to upgrade to first class for like $25. And that was absolutely worth it in my experience. So checking in early absolutely helps. And like I said, be there early because that could be when the opportunity first comes up. They're not going to wait for the guy that shows up at the last minute and upgrade that person to first class. They're going to hold the economy seat for the person that might be a no-show. Just be nice. Just be polite. Say thank you, say hello, have a smile on your face, think positive thoughts. The power of positive thinking will help you, but also the fact that your demeanor is friendlier. I mean, if you were going to go up to someone and offer them something, would you want to approach someone scowling or someone smiling? Who are you going to want to talk to? Probably the smiling person, as long as they don't look crazy. I was a cashier at a grocery store for a few years, putting myself through college. And sometimes they would give us free things to give away to people. Balloons for kids or whatever, a beach ball, something like that. And I really enjoyed it when that opportunity came up. I had a lot of fun doing it. But the number of people who said no to stuff was actually quite surprising, even when it was completely free. Hey, would you like a free beach volleyball? Oh, no. Why would I want that? Or they wouldn't believe me that it's free. Well, how much does that cost? I'm like, it's free. I said it was free. And so all of a sudden I find myself doing this sales pitch to somebody to give them something that is absolutely free and, in my opinion, is a nice thing to have. And like, what? Why is this becoming more like work? This should be the funnest part of my day. And so just imagine that if you're a flight attendant and you have the opportunity to upgrade someone, you don't want to go to someone that you think is going to be a harder, more difficult conversation. And people generally don't want to reward bad behavior. If someone says, hey, welcome aboard, you're like, whatever. Do you really think they're going to upgrade you? Or someone says, welcome aboard, and you say, thank you. That's good. I've read many different articles and different things. I've even spoken to some people who were flight attendants, and they talk about their pet peeves. And one of the big pet peeves is people who ask inane questions or just constantly bombard them with questions. It's fine to be curious. Hey, are we flying over Sioux Falls right now? I don't know. What city is that in the distance? I don't know. Maybe if you've got a screen in the seat in front of you, you can look it up on their map or whatever, but don't monopolize the flight attendant's time with that sort of stuff. And just try to be helpful and accommodating. You see a little old lady struggling to get her luggage into the overhead compartment. Help them out. Whether you believe in karma or not, there's the possibility that a flight attendant's going to see you do that and then be like, well, that's a nice person. And they want to reward that kind of stuff because you just made their job easier. People are going to want to give free things to people who make their jobs easier, not harder. So whenever possible, if you can find a non-obtrusive way to be easy, then that's more likely to get rewarded for a variety of reasons. So just be nice and polite and don't waste their time. And of course, A great way to get free upgrades is to travel a lot. The more you travel, the more lottery tickets you're buying, basically in the upgrade lottery. But also, you level up in the loyalty programs. You get experience, and so you come off as a bit more professional, and you know what to do. You're not all confused and wasting their time. You get straight to your seat. You know where your seat is. You don't have to ask them, "Where's my seat?" Experience breeds competence, and competence breeds, I think, respect. So that helps. But also, leveling up. So people often ask us, why do we always cruise with Carnival? Well, for one thing, they're fantastic and lovely, and they also have the largest fleet, so the most sailings and some of the best prices. But another reason is we level up in their loyalty program. And so now that I'm Platinum, I get on the ship sooner. I get my cabin ready sooner. I get gifts every time I sail. I get a pin with the ship name and the year on it. On this sailing, I got a nice backpack. On longer sailings, you get the member parties and other different perks. So traveling more helps in a variety of ways, leveling up and having more experience about it. So, if you have the means to travel more, of course, that's one of the ways. And so, but that's interesting and worth thinking about, because if I'm going to pay for a first class or business ticket, and that's going to cost me as much as a whole other trip, maybe flying economy and going more often is actually kind of the smarter thing, because then I might get an upgrade as well. I get to travel more that way. So, that's full of win. So those are just some basic tips, kind of across the board, about how to potentially get free upgrades in a variety of different programs. No guarantees, your mileage will vary, but they're good things to try. And honestly, I think you're just going to have a better time if you approach it that way.